What happens when a scientist faces an alien parasite that can control human minds? Just as all hope seems lost, she discovers an ally among the infected, someone who could change everything. You won't believe how this unexpected partnership turns the tide on Octor. The crimson sun of Octor cast long shadows across the colony perimeter as Dr. Sophia Blake made her routine inspection. Her boots crunched against the frost-covered ground, each step sending tiny plumes of vapor into the thin atmosphere. The isolation of this frontier world weighed heavily on everyone, but today felt different. Too quiet. As she passed Storage Unit 7, movement flickered in her peripheral vision. Something darted between the containers with unnatural speed. "We only know what we can see," she muttered to herself, clutching her scanner tighter. That's when the first scream echoed through the comm system. It came from Sector 3, near the agricultural domes, sharp and cut off abruptly like a transmission being severed. Her heart pounded as she activated her wrist console, pulling up security feeds that showed nothing but static. The colony's AI assistant chirped warnings about atmospheric disturbances, but Sophia knew better. This was no natural phenomenon. She remembered the briefing months ago when they first landed on Octor. The planet seemed ideal, rich in resources, temperate climate zones, and breathable air after minimal terraforming. But now every shadow felt heavier, every sound sharper. Her mind raced through possibilities. Equipment malfunction, wildlife, sabotage. But none explained the unnatural stillness around her. The colony's sensors were designed to detect even the smallest anomalies, yet they had failed to register anything unusual. She glanced at her scanner again, its display flickering faintly as if struggling to process data. The parasite, or whatever it was, had already begun its work, infiltrating systems and minds before anyone realized the threat. We only started uncovering the mysteries of this world, yet danger already surrounds us. Stay tuned to witness how quickly survival becomes the only priority. The alarm klaxons shattered the fragile calm as Sophia sprinted toward the research lab. Through the reinforced windows, she could see chaos unfolding. Scientists scattering like insects while security teams formed defensive perimeters. Her access badge flashed red 3 times before finally granting entry. Inside, Dr. Patel was hunched over a containment unit, his face pale under the harsh fluorescent lights. "It's spreading faster than we anticipated," he stammered, pointing to the petri dishes where crystalline structures pulsed with bioluminescent light. Each sample seemed to throb in time with some unseen heartbeat. The air itself felt charged, as if electricity crackled just beyond perception. Sophia's trained eyes caught the subtle movements in the air vents above, too deliberate to be mere shadows. They moved with purpose, shifting position every few seconds, always staying just out of direct line of sight. The parasite had already breached their most secure facility, proving more intelligent than anything they'd encountered before. She recalled the first signs of trouble, a technician reporting strange growths on plants in hydroponics, then unexplained power fluctuations in Sector 5. At first, they dismissed it as environmental interference or faulty equipment. But now the evidence was undeniable. The parasite wasn't just adapting. It was learning, evolving at an alarming rate. Its crystalline structure refracted light in impossible ways, creating mirages that confused visual detection systems. Her comm crackled with urgent voices reporting more breaches throughout the facility, each update painting a picture of escalating disaster. "Can you feel the tension rising? We're approaching a critical moment that will change everything you think you know about survival on Octor." Sophia's fingers flew across the holographic interface, pulling up thermal scans that revealed a network of heat signatures moving through the ventilation system. These weren't random movements. They formed complex patterns that suggested coordinated behavior. The parasite wasn't just spreading, it was evolving, adapting to their countermeasures with terrifying efficiency. She remembered the first infected colonist they'd found, Private Daniels, whose body had become host to crystalline growths that spread from his fingertips like frozen lightning. Initially, they thought it was a localized infection, but within hours, Daniels had transmitted whatever had taken hold of him to 3 others through casual contact. Now, as she analyzed the latest samples, Sophia realized they were dealing with something far more sophisticated than a simple pathogen. The organism exhibited signs of intelligence, communicating through electromagnetic pulses that interfered with their equipment. Its crystalline structure refracted light in impossible ways, creating mirages that confused visual detection systems. Her comm crackled with urgent voices reporting more breaches throughout the facility, each update painting a picture of escalating disaster. She noticed how the parasite seemed to anticipate their moves, almost as if it could read their intentions. Every attempt to contain it only led to new outbreaks, each more aggressive than the last. The colony's AI, once a reliable ally, now struggled to keep up, its algorithms overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of the threat. Sophia's mind raced as she tried to piece together the puzzle, searching for any weakness they could exploit. The situation escalated dramatically when the main power grid began fluctuating erratically, plunging sections of the facility into darkness. Emergency lights bathed the corridors in ominous red hues as Sophia moved through the chaos, her handheld scanner picking up increasingly complex patterns of parasitic activity. In the medical bay, she found Dr. Chun struggling to contain an outbreak among the remaining uninfected staff. The transformation process had accelerated dramatically. Victims now succumbed within minutes of exposure, their bodies becoming living conduits for the crystalline network. Most disturbing was the way the infected began exhibiting coordinated behavior, almost as if guided by a collective consciousness. When security forces attempted to seal off contaminated sectors, the parasite somehow anticipated their moves, creating new pathways through maintenance tunnels and service ducts. Sophia watched in horror as live feeds showed infected personnel manipulating control panels with eerie precision, overriding safety protocols with movements too precise to be accidental. Their actions were methodical, suggesting a level of technical understanding that shouldn't be possible for compromised hosts. She noticed how the parasite seemed to prioritize certain areas over others, targeting key systems with surgical precision. It wasn't just spreading blindly, it was strategizing, adapting its tactics to maximize damage. The realization sent a chill down her spine. This wasn't just an infection, it was an invasion. In the heart of the crisis, Sophia discovered an anomaly that defied all logic. While reviewing security footage frame by painstaking frame, she noticed one infected individual behaving differently, Private Marcus Hale, who had been presumed fully compromised 2 days prior. Instead of joining the swarm-like movements of other hosts, he lingered near restricted areas, seemingly scanning for specific targets. What truly set him apart was his apparent resistance to the parasite's complete control. His movements occasionally faltered, as if fighting against invisible restraints. His eyes would dart back and forth during these moments, searching for something only he could see. This revelation came during a critical moment when the central AI core began showing signs of infection, its quantum processors sprouting crystalline growths that threatened to corrupt the entire colony's systems. As Sophia worked to isolate the core, she observed Hale positioning himself near vital junctions without actually interfering with operations. His actions suggested purpose rather than mindless obedience to the hive mind that had taken over others. She couldn't shake the feeling that Hale was trying to communicate something, though she couldn't yet decipher his intentions. Was he fighting the parasite from within, or was this some new form of manipulation? The questions swirled in her mind as she continued her analysis, determined to uncover the truth. Against protocol and better judgment, Sophia initiated direct observation of Private Hale, using the facility's remaining operational drones to track his movements with meticulous detail. What she discovered over the next 48 hours challenged everything they understood about the parasite's influence. Hale demonstrated remarkable restraint, avoiding contact with uninfected personnel despite clear opportunities to spread the infection further. More intriguingly, he appeared to be mapping out sections of the facility housing experimental antiparasitic compounds developed by Dr. Patel's team. During a particularly intense lockdown procedure, surveillance captured Hale deliberately triggering environmental controls that temporarily slowed the parasite's spread in affected zones. He manipulated temperature settings and humidity levels with precision timing, creating conditions that inhibited crystalline growth. These calculated actions coincided with moments when the collective hive mind seemed distracted by larger-scale infiltration attempts elsewhere in the colony. The implications were staggering. Perhaps the human consciousness wasn't completely subsumed by the parasite, but rather engaged in a silent battle for dominance, with Hale somehow maintaining enough autonomy to sabotage its efforts. Sophia couldn't help but marvel at the complexity of what she was witnessing. Hale wasn't just resisting. He was actively countering the parasite's strategies, exploiting its blind spots. His movements were deliberate, almost ritualistic, as if he were following an internal map only he could see. She began cross-referencing his actions with environmental data, noticing patterns that suggested he was targeting specific systems, ventilation ducts, water filtration units, even power relays, all critical components of the colony's infrastructure. Each intervention seemed designed not just to disrupt the parasite, but to buy time for the uninfected colonists to regroup and fortify their defenses. The evidence mounted as Sophia uncovered patterns in Hale's behavior that aligned perfectly with strategic points of vulnerability in the colony's defenses. He had systematically disabled backup generators serving the eastern quadrant, precisely where the parasite concentration was highest. Security logs showed him bypassing automated defenses with surgical precision, choosing routes that minimized risk to uninfected personnel. Most compelling was his interaction with the primary ventilation system. Instead of spreading spores throughout the facility, he rerouted contaminated air into isolated filtration chambers. Sophia cross-referenced these actions with energy consumption patterns and found that each maneuver corresponded with periods of decreased parasitic activity in critical areas. The parasite still controlled many aspects of his physiology, evident in the crystalline growth spreading across his skin, but something within Hale maintained enough autonomy to sabotage its efforts. This unprecedented resistance raised crucial questions about the nature of the symbiotic relationship between host and invader, suggesting a complexity far beyond initial assessments. She spent hours analyzing Hale's movements, poring over security footage and sensor data. It became clear that his actions weren't random. They followed a pattern, almost like a code. At first glance, it seemed chaotic, but upon closer inspection, Sophia realized it was a carefully orchestrated strategy. Hale was fighting back, not just physically but intellectually, using his knowledge of the colony's layout and systems to outmaneuver the parasite. The realization filled her with both hope and dread. If Hale could resist, perhaps others could too. But at what cost? Realizing she needed direct confirmation of Hale's condition, Sophia orchestrated a risky encounter in Sector 12's abandoned hydroponics lab. Using environmental controls, she created a narrow corridor of low-humidity air that would temporarily weaken the parasite's influence. The setup required hours of careful planning, coordinating with remaining engineering staff to manipulate temperature gradients without alerting the hive mind. As predicted, Hale materialized at the predetermined coordinates, his crystalline appendages dimming slightly in the dry atmosphere. For the first time, she witnessed conscious resistance in his eyes, brief flickers of recognition battling against the alien presence clouding his features. Through carefully modulated communication channels, She transmitted a series of mathematical sequences known to stimulate neural activity. Hale responded with deliberate hand signals, confirming retained higher cognitive functions. Their exchange revealed that while the parasite enhanced certain physical capabilities, it struggled to fully suppress complex problem-solving abilities. This window of opportunity was fleeting, as the parasite constantly adapted to regain control, but it established a foundation for potential collaboration. Sophia's heart raced as she watched Hale struggle against the parasite's influence. His body twitched involuntarily, his crystalline growths pulsating erratically as if fighting back against his defiance. Yet, through sheer willpower, he managed to maintain control long enough to communicate vital information. He pointed to specific locations on a holographic map of the facility, indicating weak points in the parasite's network. His gestures were slow but deliberate, each movement a testament to his determination to fight back. Sophia knew this was a turning point, not just for Hale but for the entire colony. Building on this breakthrough, Sophia developed a covert communication protocol using ultrasonic frequencies that the parasite's sensory apparatus couldn't detect. Over several tense encounters in various isolated zones, she and Hale exchanged critical information about the parasite's weaknesses. His insights, communicated through encoded gestures and environmental manipulations, revealed that the organism required constant neural stimulation to maintain control over hosts. This explained his ability to resist. Military training had conditioned his brain to operate under extreme stress, creating natural firewalls against complete domination. Together, they identified key pressure points in the colony's infrastructure where targeted interventions could disrupt the parasite's expansion. Each meeting grew progressively longer as Hale learned to extend his periods of autonomy, though the effort visibly strained his body. His crystalline growths would pulse erratically during these sessions, sometimes even receding slightly before surging back with renewed vigor. Their alliance remained precarious, balanced on the razor's edge between cooperation and complete assimilation, yet each interaction yielded valuable data about the parasite's limitations. Sophia worked tirelessly to refine their communication methods, experimenting with different frequencies and modulation patterns to maximize the amount of information they could exchange. She also began developing tools to help Hale resist the parasite's influence, including portable devices that emitted low-level electromagnetic pulses to disrupt its neural connections. These innovations gave them a slight edge, but the parasite was always adapting, always evolving. Every victory came at a cost, and Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. The turning point came during a catastrophic systems failure that threatened to release thousands of liters of volatile chemicals stored in the industrial sector. As automated safeguards failed one after another, Sophia watched Hale make his decisive move. Positioning himself at the nexus of multiple control systems, he endured excruciating pain as the parasite fought to maintain dominance. Through their ultrasonic channel, he transmitted a sequence of override commands that no uninfected human could have executed. The parasite's enhanced neural processing provided exactly the computational power needed to stabilize the situation. At the climax of this struggle, Sophia witnessed something extraordinary. Hale's human consciousness briefly achieving full control, sacrificing portions of his own neural tissue to sever critical connections in the parasite's network. The resulting cascade effect temporarily disrupted the hive mind's coordination across the entire facility, buying them precious time to implement containment measures. This unprecedented act of self-sacrifice marked a definitive shift in their relationship from wary allies to committed partners in humanity's defense, though the cost to Hale's body was immediately visible in the accelerated growth of crystalline structures across his torso. Sophia's hands trembled as she monitored Hale's vitals, watching as his body teetered on the brink of collapse. The parasite retaliated with ferocity, flooding his system with crystalline growths that pulsed with an intensity she'd never seen before. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, Hale held on, his determination unwavering. In that moment, Sophia realized they had stumbled upon something revolutionary, a way to turn the parasite's own strengths against it. But the question remained, could they replicate Hale's resistance in others? With their newfound understanding of the parasite's vulnerabilities, Sophia and Hale developed an intricate strategy that pushed the boundaries of human endurance and scientific innovation. Their partnership evolved into a complex dance of mutual dependency. Hale's enhanced abilities provided insights no uninfected human could obtain, while Sophia's scientific expertise helped extend his periods of autonomy. They established a network of safe zones throughout the facility, each equipped with precisely calibrated environmental controls that created temporary havens from the parasite's influence. These safe zones became crucial staging areas for their operations, allowing them to coordinate more elaborate interventions. During these windows of freedom, Hale shared crucial details about the organism's reproductive cycles and vulnerability points, information he gleaned while maintaining his internal resistance. The parasite retaliated by intensifying its attempts to break his control, manifesting in increasingly violent physiological responses that left him physically weakened but mentally resolute. Their covert operations expanded to include strategic disruptions of the parasite's resource distribution networks, targeting key nodes that Hale identified through his unique perspective as both host and adversary. Sophia marveled at how Hale's dual consciousness allowed him to navigate the parasite's network, pinpointing weaknesses that would have otherwise gone unnoticed. As their campaign progressed, Sophia and Hale developed an intricate strategy of calculated provocations designed to force the parasite into predictable patterns. By deliberately exposing certain sections of the facility to controlled levels of humidity and temperature fluctuations, they manipulated the organism into revealing previously unknown vulnerabilities. Hale's condition deteriorated with each mission, his body becoming a battlefield where human resilience clashed with alien adaptation. Yet with each engagement, they gathered more data about the parasite's limitations, its inability to maintain control during rapid environmental shifts, its dependence on specific trace elements in the colony's water supply, and its vulnerability to certain electromagnetic frequencies. Sophia modified existing equipment to exploit these weaknesses, creating portable devices that could temporarily disable infected hosts without killing them. Their efforts began yielding tangible results as they successfully quarantined entire sectors, isolating the parasite's advance and buying valuable time for the remaining uninfected colonists to reinforce their positions. Each success came with careful documentation, building a comprehensive database of tactics that could prove invaluable for future encounters with similar organisms. However, the parasite's adaptability remained a constant threat, forcing them to stay one step ahead at all times. The situation reached a critical juncture when the parasite evolved a new strategy, attempting to infiltrate the colony's food production facilities. Sophia and Hale launched a desperate counteroffensive, using their accumulated knowledge to orchestrate a series of precision strikes against the organism's supply lines. They discovered that the parasite required not just physical hosts but also specific biochemical environments to thrive, leading them to target nutrient distribution systems with carefully calibrated contaminants that disrupted its metabolic processes. Hale's role became increasingly crucial as he navigated through areas where traditional detection methods failed, his dual consciousness allowing him to sense the parasite's presence before conventional sensors could register a threat. Their combined efforts resulted in the successful implementation of a layered defense system that alternated environmental conditions faster than the organism could adapt, effectively containing its spread to manageable levels. Each victory came at a cost, however, as Hale's body continued to bear the strain of constant resistance, his human features gradually becoming overshadowed by crystalline growths that pulsed with increasing intensity. The medical team monitored his condition around the clock, documenting every change in his physiology as they raced against time to find a permanent solution. With time running out and Hale's condition worsening, Sophia focused her efforts on developing a treatment protocol that could potentially sever the parasite's neural connection without destroying the host. Working in secret laboratories deep within the facility, she synthesized a compound based on the biochemical markers Hale had identified during his moments of resistance. The process required precise timing and coordination, as they needed to administer the treatment during the parasite's vulnerable phase while simultaneously protecting critical colony systems. Hale volunteered to test the experimental therapy, knowing it might permanently damage his neural pathways or trigger a fatal immune response. The procedure unfolded in 10 stages, with Sophia monitoring every physiological change while Hale maintained a tenuous grip on consciousness. Initial results showed promise. The crystalline structures began receding in localized areas, and moments of clarity became more frequent and sustained. However, the parasite responded with unprecedented aggression, launching simultaneous attacks on multiple fronts that tested the limits of their containment strategy. The medical team worked tirelessly, adjusting dosages and treatment protocols as they gathered real-time data on the parasite's reactions. As dawn broke over the crimson horizon of Octor, Sophia stood beside Hale in the newly secured medical wing, watching as the last traces of crystalline infection faded from his system. Their success had come at great cost. Nearly half the colony lay in ruins, and many lives had been lost in the struggle. Yet from the ashes of destruction emerged a new understanding of the parasite's nature and humanity's capacity for resistance. Hale's recovery proved that the symbiotic relationship could be broken, giving hope to those still fighting against the organism's influence. The colony began rebuilding, incorporating the lessons learned into a more resilient infrastructure designed to withstand future threats. Sophia documented every aspect of their experience, creating a comprehensive protocol for identifying and combating parasitic infections on frontier worlds. The data they collected would be invaluable for future colonization efforts, providing crucial insights into extraterrestrial biological threats. As she gazed out at the rising sun, she knew their fight had changed something fundamental about humanity's approach to alien encounters. Remember, stories like this are rare gems in the vast universe of science fiction. If you enjoyed this journey through survival and unexpected alliances, subscribe to explore more thrilling adventures among